you probably guessed, we're the Unsettled. You're probably not new here, but if you are new here, we discuss unsolved cases, throw a little twist on it, and you can kind of gather your own thoughts and opinions. And if you feel that we've covered anything relevant, or if we've missed anything, drop a comment below. But we are the Unsettled, myself and Will go over the murder in room 1046. You can begin.
So,
I will sit here.
on January the 2nd, 1935, a lone man walks into the...
Lone man walks into a bar. Sounds like the beginning of a joke.
Man. So he checks into the presidential suite in downtown Kansas City. He had no luggage apart from a comb, a toothbrush. He asked for an interior room on the high floor and checked in under the name of Roland T. Owen. On the way to the room, he complained to the bellboy about the outrageous prices of the hotels within the area.
Sounds a bit stuck up to me.
After receiving his key, he would only be seen rarely throughout his stay.
Okay, so obviously, like, this case has been covered quite a fair bit, and a lot of people have come up with their own conclusions and own weird thoughts and processes, right? But the small details on this case kind of make me feel a bit uneasy, and I think they make me more uneasy with the fact that it's kind of how the murder plays out over the hours and the span he's in the hotel room.
It's a bit freaky.
Or frisky.
Either or.
Yeah. But
Or both.
Frisky and freaky. You pay good money for that. So the witnesses on the day say the man was aged between 25 and 35 years old, brown hair, scars on his scalp, and a cauliflower ear.
Is he a boxer?
He might just like being smacked around. He's probably seen finding this out.
We'll get to that.
So he was dressed smart with a black coat. The bellboy, Randolph, what a name,
What a name.
helped Roland to his room, where he noticed that Roland obviously only packed his toothbrush and comb and a bit of toothpaste.
Yeah.
That's all he pretty much packed. The maid, Mary Soptic. What?
Yeah.
Oh, it's because of the way I said it. Sounds like I said soap dick. Mary Soap Dick said that Roland allowed her to clean while he was in the room, but said don't lock the door as his friend was about to visit very soon. Sounds a bit iffy.
It does sound a bit iffy.
It sounds a bit iffy. Mary said he kept the curtains closed and kept the lights off, minus the small dim lamp near the bed. Other staff members who visited the room also said about the poorly lit room itself and how he only had the little lamp on. Don't you think this is a bit weird?
It's very weird.
Very weird indeed. See, I like the ambience of a room, but fuck having just one little dim lamp. Like, if you're going to set the tone...
Definitely in a place that you haven't been before.
Exactly.
Like, you could stuck your toe.
I mean, I don't like the sun as it is, but I'd at least have the curtains open for a little bit. So, basically, Roland T. Owen was just sat there in the dark, in his suit. Which kind of makes you think it's a bit weird already. So, he would often watch the maid clean the room. He kind of comes across as a killer.
It was, yeah, it made her on edge.
Yeah, Mary, the maid, I'm not going to say Soptic, said to the police that Roland seemed on edge and afraid. He seemed worried and paranoid. He never wanted the curtains open, just sat in the bed in somewhat a poorly lit room. At 4 p.m, Mary returned with new towels, finding Roland in the bed, dressed in the dark, light now off.
Still fully dressed.
This is what
on
I
the
mean.
freshly made bed in his suit.
Like he's expecting Christmas to come early. So what do you guys think so far? Bit fucked up? Bit weird? I'll carry on. It seems a bit more weird anyway, no matter how many times you do this. Apparently, he seemed vacant in his eyes. door still unlocked. She saw a note as she turned on the dimly lit light. It stated, "Don, I will be back in 15 minutes. Wait." You find this guy weird?
Yeah.
Very weird?
Very weird.
Creepy?
More so.
Like, this Roland guy's giving off me some really dodgy vibes. I bet you find him quite interesting though, don't you?
No.
It's the type of guy I want to get along with. The next day, January the 3rd, Mary came back to clean the room at 10:30 a.m. She noticed the door had been locked from the outside and thought maybe Roland had locked it after he'd left. However, Roland was sitting inside, lights off, still smartly dressed. Which means someone locked the door from the outside of the room.
He was now sitting in the chair in the corner.
This guy's weird.
It's so weird. so weird.
But while Mary was still in the room, Roland answered the phone call saying, "No, Don, I don't want to eat. I am not hungry. I just had breakfast." Then saying again, "No, I am not hungry." What?
I'd be gone by this point.
You'd be out of that room, you'd be like, "Fuck that shit, I'm gone."
Ain't got time for that.
So finding this guy odd, yeah. Very odd, bit weird, bit fucked up. So what I want to know is, why is Roland sitting in the dark? Who's he waiting for? And who's this Dom? Who is he?
Don't know.
Mary turned up again at 4 p.m. with more fresh towels. As she approached, she heard two male voices from inside. So she knocked, and a deeper voice spoke. Or would you like to say a deep-throated voice?
Deep-throated voice.
You're making this sound worse. You're making it sound so dodgy.
It is fucking dodgy. It's dodgy already.
Yeah, but
if
your
you haven't
deep-throated
figured.
voice. You're making it sound very off. So, a deep-throated voice from the inside.
We don't need any towels.
Well, first you said, "Who is it?"
Oh, sorry. Who is it?
This whoever was inside wasn't Roland. Then shouted, "Yeah, we don't need any towels." It's like he knows what I've written. He's psychic. He's got it all in his head.
No, it's the ghost told me that was
Yeah.
staring over your other shoulder.
Yeah, that's nice. Even though the towels from the previous night was taken by Mary at 10:30 a.m, so they didn't have any showers or
Towels.
towels to have a shower with.
Ugh.
A woman
Dirty.
at 10:48 reported she heard loud voices and shouting from Roland's room, both male and female, swearing at each other. Although there was apparently a party going on the same floor, so who knows?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a meh. People shout, people argue, who cares? Now, January the 4th. This is where it could get a bit more interesting for you guys. The hotel phone operator noticed at 7 a.m. Roland's phone in his hotel room was off the hook without being in use. So they sent Randolph, the lovely bellboy,
Poor Randolph.
to check it out. The locked door was, I don't know, had a do not disturb sign up.
Yeah.
But Randolph knocked anyway. Then that deep-throated voice appeared. "Come in, turn on the lights." Sounds erotic.
It sounds very dodgy.
"Come in, turn off the lights." Or turn on the lights. You don't want to turn them off, they're already off.
Don't turn them off.
Yeah, you want to see what you're looking at. It's so creepy. What gets me is the lights going on. Like, why? Why would you want to turn on the lights? At this point, if I was that bellboy Randolph, I'd get Mary soap pick to go in there and
You
play
go
with
in.
it. I'm like, fuck that, you went in there earlier. But anyway, he tried to open the door and couldn't, it was still locked. Which I think is really weird. Randolph shouted, "Can you put the phone back on the hook?" At 8:30 a.m, the room phone was still not put back on. So another bellboy.
Poor old Randolph had to go.
No, it was never bellboy.
Oh, was there another one?
Yeah, his name's Harold.
Oh.
Let himself into the hotel room.
The master key.
Yeah, got a
Dodgy.
pass key. And noticed right away that Roland was in bed naked and appeared drunk or delusional.
Yeah, he was found Yeah, lying face down, naked.
He also noticed the bedding, the sheets, was dark around Roland's body. The phone stand kicked over, so he fixed it, put the phone back onto the receiver. So they checked on him.
And left. No, they didn't check on him. He didn't want to deal with the situation because it's a drunk. You don't get involved in that shit. You just let them.
But with dark stains around the bed and the body.
Yeah, but even that, you just be like, no, I can't be dealing with this shit. Leave it for the maid in the morning.
Leave it to
puts the phone back up, puts the phone back on the hook, and gets the fuck out.
But they still chose to ignore it.
Yeah. Well, he chose to ignore it. Maybe
Which
it's
is
just
dodgy.
a part-time bellboy.
Right, so at 10:30 and 10:41 a.m, the phone was off from the receiver again. They sent good old bellboy Randolph to yet again deal with the matter. The door was unlocked, but as he opened the door, he took a step back and stood in disbelief. His statement to the police is as follows. A man was within 2 feet of me, on his knees and elbows, head in his hands. Blood covering his head and hands. He turned the light on. Not something you want to do anymore, to be honest. That light's really fucking
It's been used more than Mr. Owens.
And the shock apparently hit good old Randolph, the bellboy. Blood had been sprayed, possibly from Roland. Blood had covered the walls, the bed, covered the ceiling.
In a stippled-like effect.
And all over the toilet. The ceiling, as I stated, was covered in blood. The whole room was just
definitely a blood bath.
Yeah, it was just covered in blood, basically. I actually wrote that. Look. Now this probably looks like a bloodbath.
Yeah,
You're pretty much on tune with what I said.
Bloodbath.
Bloodbath, see? It appeared he was tortured, yet still alive. But tortured. Just bear in mind, it looked like he was tortured. It seems like the hotel staff was just waiting for something to happen. Like,
it does seem like it.
It seemed like they were checking on him, but like...
They were just like, nah, he's not in any trouble, yeah.
Maybe they did it.
If something hits off.
Maybe they did it. The amount of people that went in there and probably could have smacked the shit out of him, who knows?
Well, you know.
Right. When I wrote this out, I heard of a man posing with his injuries. Like he was just laying there. And that's why it kind of made me laugh. Like a man posing with blood. Like he's still alive, but he's just fucked.
Yeah.
He had blood coming out of all of his orifices.
Yeah. And 3 puncture wounds in his chest.
Exactly. So, allegedly, he was tied up with a phone cord around his neck. This is allegedly.
Allegedly.
Wrists and ankles as well. It seems Randolph was shocked by blood, but judging by...
It kind of does seem that he was hog-tied, mate.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I don't, like, considering, like...
Hog-tied and beaten to an inch of his life.
Like, considering we've gone through quite a lot of fucked up cases, exactly. This doesn't really... Like, if I was to walk into that room, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd just...
No, I'd be like, you are some dodgy fucker, clean yourself
exactly.
up.
Like, so despite being choked and tied up, his skull had been struck repeatedly in the head. His skull was fractured.
Yeah, with a blunt instrument.
And like you said, he was stabbed in the chest several times. Lung punctured. He had a bruised neck. One of the detectives at the scene asked Roland who else was in the room. Roland replied with nobody. He claimed he fell against the bathtub. So if he had turned the damn lights on, he probably wouldn't have fallen over, would he?
Literally.
What a dickhead.
Literally.
Right. But you cannot say that he hit his head on the bathtub. Apparently he did hit his head on the bathtub. That's what he told the detective.
Yeah.
Right?
You can imagine he probably did, but then why would there be blood spurts all in
the
living room? And
because, here's my theory. He went into the bathroom, slipped, banged his head, realised there wasn't no blood, went running to the bed, jumped on the bed, smashed his head against the ceiling a few times, wrapped the telephone cord around him for a laugh, and that is exactly...
Swung round on the blades.
I literally went completely fucking nuts. Probably jumped onto the chandelier and spun around for half an hour while the blood's going everywhere.
In a proper good party.
He probably just thought smashing his head.
No alcohol was involved by this point.
None at all. like, why did he lie? Why did he say no one was there and he smacked his head on the bathtub? That's what I put down. Why'd he lie?
Yeah, why?
Who's he covering up for? Why? Why don't you just say he's a dirty fucker? Surely the detective couldn't believe this story. I wouldn't have done. I mean, to be honest, no. No. So Roland was taken to hospital. The doctor said the injuries to Roland was done 6 or 7 hours before he was discovered.
Yeah. So it seemed to have fit.
Right.
From the
So when the phone was first off the hook, he was already bleeding.
Yeah. Which would explain your dark stain. Right?
And that voice that said, "Come in, turn the lights on," was the person who'd done it.
But then if you think, he's got a punctured lung, so maybe one of those stab wounds, maybe that had lowered his vocal tones.
Right, if you've just been smacked the shit.
Well, I don't know really.
No, listen, if you've just been had the shit smacked out of you, you wouldn't say in a deeper tone, "Come in, turn the lights on."
Well, no, you would say, "Come in," but I don't know whether the punctured lung and whatever would go against his vocal cords.
So,
I'm not sure.
Here's the other part that's really weird. No real evidence was found in the room, minus a female's fingerprints on the phone.
4.
Yeah.
4 female tiny fingerprints, but they couldn't.
She was a T-Rex.
No, it was like that, but obviously the thumb wasn't even a partial at that point.
So she grabbed it.
She
like
grabbed
this.
it like that.
Sadly, Roland died after midnight on January the 5th. When Roland checked into the hotel, he claimed he was from Los Angeles, yet no one could find any record of Roland T. Owen, so that wasn't his real name.
No, they actually did a full back story. They couldn't even find a Roland T. Owen that was born within USA.
Yeah. Detectives focused on Don though. The man Roland spoke to and made reference to. The man the maid possibly heard, but alas, no results. No. On March 23rd, it was announced that Roland would be buried in a potter's field. Or pauper's.
Pauper's grave, yeah.
It depends how you want to word it.
Yeah.
However, the funeral home dealing with Roland received a call from an unknown caller saying they will give the money for a proper funeral. So Roland was definitely covering up for someone when he said that he slipped and fell and hit his head in the bathtub. Obviously. So do you reckon this could be love? Was he trapped? So there's so many secrets.
There's so many variables.
There's so many secrets.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, many people online speculated it was a lover's quarrel. But money was delivered to the funeral home, wrapped in rolled up newspaper. Flowers were arranged with a card saying "Love Forever,
Lucille."
Yeah. On Roland's grave. A year later, a woman called Ruby Ogletree read an article basically about Roland's case. She finished the article and saw photos, instantly recognising Roland as her son. Right? His real name was Artemus Ogletree. Now he sounds like a clever character.
He does sound like a clever character.
Right, I'll read this bit and you can read your little bit because I know you're dying to. But you know, your little bit about it could not be his mother, it might be someone like that. Yeah. Which to me sounds like a posh boy's name. Artemus Ogletree. Presumably gay or a wizard of some sort.
Artemus.
It sounds like a wizard.
It sounds like a fucking 10th century knight, mate. I'm not gonna lie.
And strangely enough, Roland T. Owen, or Artemus Ogletree, or whatever the fuck you want to call him, was only 17 years old.
What is it with you and 17-year-old boys? That came out wrong.
Scratch it. Don't talk about it. I'm gay. I'm not gay. It wasn't me in the hotel room. His mother actually received letters from her son in 1935, but they used words among a slang nature and was typed. And Artemus, formerly known as Roland, couldn't type and didn't know how to, which is another strange thought process. But obviously, you're going to read your lovely little bit when I finish this bit. So, okay. So I'm trying to figure this one out. Like, huh?
Mm.
How?
Mm.
So someone knows something and knew of Mr. Artemus Ogletree, if that is who we're going to go with, and they also knew his address. So they know him pretty well. Right. It was also known that Artemus stayed in a hotel with another man. The other hotel room previously to this. Right. Possibly Don. In the early 2000s, Dr. John. We'll just call him Dr. John. I think that's probably best. Received an out-of-state call about the murder. The caller said he found a box in an old person's clear-out home. Newspapers, articles, all about this case, but also photographs. And then the case went cold and people gave up.
Yeah, as they do.
Right, but even though someone in the early 2000s received a call, and yet nothing was ever done of it. Do you want to read your little section? I'm going to put my legs down, I feel like I've got cramp. So, hotel rooms and bondage.
So I did a little bit more digging on the Miss Ogletree or Ogletree.
Do you want a shovel?
So yes, her son was within the vicinity.
Go on.
But you kind of covered it.
Did I? Did I really?
So, in the later life, this call about this older gentleman that passed away in the old people's home that had newspaper clippings and everything else about that. He was actually Artemus.
Okay.
And he had fallen out of faith or whatever with his mother.
Okay.
Over something that had happened in his childhood. Nothing is explained. It's purely left as that.
He's ogling trees.
He's ogling trees. So that kind of... He did change his name by... I'm not sure what they...
To Roland T. Owen?
No. He changed his name. But I couldn't find out who it was or what the name was under. But he is registered as the old man in this funeral home. Now, I only knew that because of the, I don't know what the American aspect of it, but we can change our name through Depot.
So he legally changed his name.
He legally changed his name. And when he did change his name, he put down the reason as his family are passed away. He wants a new life for himself. He's got financial backing because he was a very good businessman.
Yeah.
And yes, he did stay in the opposite hotel. That Owen has been mentioned to being contradictory. And in the late 90s,
possibly
early 2000s, the hotel that this
you've really done digging, haven't you?
yes, the hotel that this Ogletree was staying at,
the wizard,
Roland, he had also been staying at this specific hotel.
So these two men are following each other?
No. They've never met before. This is purely for the fact of...
Is it purely coincidental?
I don't believe in coincidences. But a lot of hotels within the area came forward to say, look, this person has stayed here before.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so upfront with the bellboy about it being so outrageously priced around the area. Now, Mr. Ogletree and Mr. Owens do look very similar. Like, I mean, they could be brothers. It's that they look that close. Now, both of them didn't have any distinguishing features that the hotel staff or the mother could explain.
Cauliflower.
That's Mr. Owens, yes.
Yeah, that's a
But the
distinguishing
mother,
feature.
but the mother said that he didn't have a cauliflower ear.
But you can get a cauliflower ear from being punched
Exactly.
or slapped around.
Exactly.
Or
And he's got
dominated.
scars in his face and
Dominated.
scalp anyway.
Dominated.
So yeah, I kind of, because I jumped to that conclusion as well, but it was.
So if we're going to go with Roland T. Owen,
Mhm.
and obviously this man had obviously got beaten to shit, and something had obviously happened.
I'd like to obviously the Roland T. Owens.
Yeah.
The reason why the hotel said, look, he's very similar, but it's not.
Yeah.
Is purely for the fact that when he did book into this hotel that Mr. Ogletree was staying at,
Yep.
he used a different name,
Which was?
which was
I'm putting you on a spot now.
Eugene K. Scott, which also doesn't exist in the US of A. He used the same background story,
So he's not a wizard.
just different name.
Not a wizard.
Unfortunately, he is not Artemus.
And he's not a wizard. So, judging by this, then we're going to go. I'm going to just run through these little bits.
Yep. And then we will jump into our theory,
Well, our main theory.
our main theory.
Even though I have wrote quite a few down. But these were just going off Roland T.O.
Okay.
Right.
So we
So
discussed these first.
Yeah. So my first theory on this main part was that Don beat Owen to death in room 1046. Acted alone. Don was also the man with the deeper voice the maid had spoken to.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously there was a man there.
Yeah, there was another
If we're going to
person.
go with the non-punctured lung and it wasn't a, that was something else. My second theory is Don didn't act alone. The hotel operator for the lift said he observed a woman going to the 10th floor the night Roland was attacked. The woman spoke to Charles Blocker, the operator for the elevators. Right, this is where you think she's a prostitute. Yeah, right. So, saying she was looking for a man in room 1026 but couldn't find him. She was also seen with a man on the 9th floor, possibly Don, if I'm not mistaken. Right. Mary.
Yep.
So thick. Said this man could have been Don. There was fingerprints on the phone receiver from a woman, as we said. Also, a woman next to room 1046 heard shouting in the mouths, females screaming at each other. So it could be possible that this woman, Don, and Roland got into a domestic fight. Either way, Don seems to be very related to Roland in some sense, whether it's the fact that they're lovers, whether a woman found out. What are you looking for? You're going to ruin everything.
No. I've written down the name of that woman that lives next door to Roland.
Go on then. Well, in the hotel room.
Yeah.
Living next door.
We
in a
know.
posh hotel.
In the
What's her name?
So her name.
It's where you find out it's a wizard. It's a witch. Go on. You throw me off.
Right,
Sponsor us.
So basically, her name was Jean Owen. No relation. They found this out.
That's still weird.
It is very weird.
Coincidence.
I will
So-
give you that one. That is a coincidence.
Yeah. Right, so my other theory that I wrote down, Roland was killed for being unfaithful to his fiancée, and I'll also go through what the funeral home getting another call to pay for the funeral. But but many, like, so I did recall that, you know, he wasn't going to be buried in a pauper's grave,
Yep.
right? But accordingly, there's another version of this phone call.
Okay.
Right. This is according to other news articles and the funeral home,
Right. Okay.
right? So apparently,
Contradictory argument.
yeah, apparently, a
Yeah.
woman called up the newspaper saying the story on Roland is wrong. Roland will not be buried in a pauper's grave. Arrangements will be made for his funeral, right? Now here's the last little bit before you get straight into it. When newspapers asked what the woman knew, she reported and said, never mind, he got himself into a jam. Right? Soon after the funeral home had received that call, they received another call. Don't bury Roland in a pauper's grave. He'll be buried in a memorial park. He will be near my sister. I will send funds to cover the expenses. The man said Roland had jilted a girl he was engaged to, and apparently Roland, the man, and the girl, and I had a little meeting. Right? Before the man hung up, he said he got what was coming to him. So even to this day, this case is now like just collecting dust.
Yeah.
But that phone call from that man, Roland got what was coming to him. Me, a girl, and Roland had a little meeting.
It does kind of.
He's confused.
No, because I'm just going over like,
Yeah.
because obviously Jean Owen, the lady that was given 1048 as a room number, pretty much right next to it.
Yeah.
Did say in her police interview, that
Please question.
yeah, that she had reported loud
Music.
arguing.
Yeah, between a man and a
Not
woman.
music.
Yeah, between
Loud
a man,
arguing.
a woman, and another man.
Yeah.
Swearing.
Swearing and cursing.
Which also kind of fits this little bit that the funeral home
She
got.
was going to call downstairs.
Oh, call Randolph, the bellboy.
No, not poor Randolph. He's been through to
Bellboy!
No, she was going to call down to the desk and report it.
Yeah.
But she just couldn't be bothered and she rolled over and went back to sleep.
But that does kind of fit what...
But it kind of fits your last point.
So we'll see.
We shall see.
We'll get into the theories. Well, our conclusions, but you get the idea. He argues, I argue, and he's going first.
So, what do I think? Well, what I really think is that to me, it just sounds like some dominatrix obsession gone wrong, basically. The puncture wounds on his chest, they could be, I don't know, anything from stilettos to some sort of high heels. Bearing in mind that there was no murder, basically weapon that matched the puncture wounds left at the crime scene. And that would also explain the darkness and all the secrecy, why he didn't really want to be seen. Maybe he was getting ready and maybe he was already in that mindset. The whole thing definitely screams something fetishy. Now, I draw attention to the way that he was bound. Now, he was bound with some sort of cordage, whether it be a telephone wire, whether it be another type of like bungee cord. They did say about the bungee cord could be a definite thing that they took it with them, purely because it does match certain marks and stuff that a bungee cord would leave. Now, he was bound by the ankles, wrists and neck. Basically what I've said in the previous video, as in saying he was hog-tied. Now, due to the previous hotels, maybe he had been there. Maybe he was outraged by the cost of those specific hotels. Maybe he had gone there and had his fetish in one of their rooms and got away with it. Or had a successful visit. But at the end of it, we don't really know whether that's all true. Now, he also could have been killed by his own lover, or his lover's boyfriend or wife, or whatever. Because we don't really know his real name. We don't know his past. So what do you think?
Okay, so my thoughts on this case, it seems to be that Mr. Rowland seems to book hotels and get up to some shady shit. Whether it was intentional or not, whether he just liked being smacked around, I think the name Dom stands for dominatrix. I think that was just a shortened, abbreviated version, so no one really knew what he got up to in his spare time. I also seem to think that he would hire people to do this type of stuff to him. Whether he'd book hotels for a couple of days away from his fiancée or whatever it may be, I seem to think that maybe that would have been the case. I also seem to think that the fact that if Randolph the bellboy went into that room, he would have actually seen the killer when he said, "Come in, turn on the lights." So whether people wanted, I don't know, whether that person in that room, Dom, wanted to see what was going on, you know, like maybe like a mini fetish type of thing here, like, hey, watch me smack the shit out of him, see if you like it, kind of thing. But other than that, he could have, I don't know, I think a part of me really wants to believe the whole idea that he was quite a youngish guy who possibly was dealing with possibly being bisexual, possibly. And obviously his fiancée found out, met him in the hotel room, hence the discussion of swearing between two men and a woman. Therefore they just kicked the shit out of him and went their separate ways. I reckon that would be the logical explanation for all the information that we've gathered from this case. So what are your thoughts? We fucked it up, haven't we? So, our conclusion to room 1046 is... What do you think?
See, I still think it's that whole fetish, it's weird sexual vibes all over that story.
I would agree. For the first time on the Unsettled. I'm agreeing with a bigger case that has a bit more of an outstanding feature. So we can kind of agree that he liked being hit. There might be a gay lover involved.
Yeah,
there might be a wife/fiance involved.
Yeah, at that point, yeah, we differ kind of bit.
But Artemus Ogletree, is this who Roland T. Owen was?
No.
You don't reckon?
No, like, even the problem is that the police even said that they went along with this possibility purely because there was no evidence to say it wasn't.
Yeah.
But with the Ogletree, like, the reason why he kept going away is because obviously the arguments with his mum and it's just wasn't working out.
I get that. But it could be a strong.
I don't know about that one.
Could be. Or, as I said, it was Artemus Ogletree. He is 17. He does have an alias name, and he is DB Cooper. Explains a cauliflower ear, like you said. He fell and hit the ground.
The scars on his skull from when he hit the trees.
Yeah.
It fits.
Roland T. Owen is DB Cooper. Still the 17-year-old, like I said he was.
Well, you heard it first.
That tricked the world. No? No? But we'll never know who this guy is. But we come across to a main idea that Roland T. Owen does like to be smacked around a bit, and he's into a bit of the kink.
Yeah.
But whether they took it too far, whether he got found out by his lover, we don't know.
We just don't know.
So what are your guys' thoughts? We've been the Unsettled. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you guys knew what we did while we had to redo this, you'll probably find out. But either way, we kind of butchered this for you guys. But yeah, drop a comment below. Let us know what you think, or who Roland T. Owen was, and what do you think about the name Randolph coming back? Good name.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Good name. I think they should bring back Adolf. Randolph? So yeah, don't forget to subscribe. We're the Unsettled. There you go, did it correct.
Did it correct this time.
Not we're the Unsettled. And yeah, stay tuned for more. It can only get better.
See you soon.
Bye.